Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Trauma Center New Blood. And the last part, not the challenge part, the real last part, well, Professor Hoover was a dick and made us go back to Los Angeles, so at least it's warmer, I guess. I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather be warm than cold. But anyway, now we're back to Concordia Medical Institute, which is pretty much, it's a better hospital, but I wouldn't say it's like the best hospital ever. It's not like a Caduceus or anything.
I told them to call Billy at the reception desk, but he doesn't work here anymore.
What's that? An easily replaceable receptionist has been replaced after 3 years? You don't say!
Thanks.
My, you're here early, Dr. Ball.
Oh, hello, Dr. Sleazebag. I mean, Dr. Russo. How are you doing today? Yes, this is Dr. Russo, and he's just one of those slimy doctor types, you know, the kind of guy you love to hate. I always love having these kind of guys in fiction. You need more slimy, smug people in fiction. I just love making fun of them.
I heard that you became chief surgeon. Congratulations.
Even though we never get to see your surgical skills, and as a matter of fact, it's sort of implied that you suck at it, but whatever. I guess you must be good at kissing ass or something.
After all, you were quite far from civilization.
You do know that Fairbanks is one of the bigger towns in the United States, right? You know, it's not like they were sent to Iowa or Idaho or Kansas or someplace where it really is the middle of nowhere, right?
Made little progress on your research.
Well, that's the thing! Do these doctors do research, or do they not do research? It's implied that they're just sort of on call for surgery all the time. Do surgeons do research? I don't know, seriously. If anybody has any medical training, please tell me.
Dr. Wilkins?
Ah, welcome back.
What is the point of a monocle? No, wait, seriously, what is the point of a monocle, other than looking... Well, I wouldn't even say looking cool, it just sort of looks lame, and you can't really... I don't get it. I do not get the point.
In fact, I even make the rounds occasionally.
What's that? Sometimes you even do your job in the hospital? Wow there, Dr. Wilkins, don't overstrain yourself.
The symptoms have temporarily subsided. Once I've made the necessary arrangements, I'll explain my situation in greater detail.
Or you could just tell us the basic gist of what's wrong so that we could prepare for the operation. You know, something that most people would normally
I
do.
would say that I am both a patient as well as a research subject.
Well, if you're gonna have us operate on you eventually, you might as well trust us and tell us what's wrong now. Seriously, this is something about Wilkins that I never liked. He's one of those overly paranoid people who can't tell anybody anything. And in the end, it only hurts him more than it hurts anyone else. If he told us what he wanted to begin with, we could have treated him faster and thus got his research done faster. But instead, he's just fucking around here, wasting time, which is, spoiler alert, not gonna be good for him in the long run.
Hi, Dr. Blaylock. Oh, hello, Elena. Are you starting today?
No, she's just here for no good reason. Of course she's starting today. Wait, you're just returning from a brief vacation. You mean going to Alaska? It's just one of these things about the presentation style here. It's hard to tell how much time has passed in between, like, scenes. And also in between lines of dialogue. You know, it's just one of those things about the sliding head artwork that just... It sort of makes it hard to tell the flow of time and stuff like that. That's something that I definitely like better about Trauma Team, is that, you know, you've got a comic book style, which makes it easier to tell what's going on. Anyway, this operation, it's another tumor operation, so, you know, same sort of, stuff, you know, excising tumors. It's nothing we haven't done before, but, you know, just so that we don't have a completely redundant mission, there are some extra things added to it. And, again, that's something that I really like about Trauma Center New Blood. There are very little missions that seem redundant. Even the missions that, you know, don't really impact the plot a little bit. They're different, and they're varied enough to the point where it's all different. That's one thing that I think that Second Opinion and Under the Knife did pretty poorly, is that, you know, this mission we're doing Kyriaki, this mission we're doing Deftra, now we're doing Kyriaki again. You know, it got kind of repetitive. New Blood does a much better job at keeping the variety up, which is one of the reasons why I think it's one of the better games in the series. Tied for my favorite game, actually. So anyway, let's just cut this guy open and do this thing. Anyway, if you ever start off at sort of like mid-vitals range at the beginning of an operation, feel free to open him up. Feel free to raise his vitals up to max before you actually cut open the patient. Because before you cut open the patient, nothing will ever lower the patient's vitals, meaning it's a pretty good time to raise them up, because, you know, nothing's going to be keeping them down, and also you're not really you don't have to deal with anything else at the moment. Anyway, the thing about this operation is that there's pus forming around the tumors. Every time you cut a tumor open, pus will spit out. There will be pus that will appear every time you cut out a tumor, and sometimes before you even cut out the tumor. So what you gotta do is you just gotta suck up the pus with the drain. Really, no big deal. And actually, the pus actually ends up helping you in the long run, because the pus will form in areas around tumors. So it's a lot easier to find out where that last tumor that you can't find is when pus is forming around it, so you know where the general location is. And actually, this is, I was doing some research, and this is actually one of the ways that people manage to get a higher score in this game. You let the timer run down intentionally, so that more symptoms can show up in the patient. Like, you wait for a lot of pus to appear so that, before you actually start treating the pus, because you get more points for the more treatments you do. Like, for example, let's say that you tried to clear as much pus away as quick as possible. You might only end up clearing like 3 clouds of pus. So let's just, I don't think it's that much, but let's just say that's 100 points per cloud of pus. That'd be 300 points. However, the more you wait, the more clouds of pus appear. So if you wait, then maybe 10 clouds of pus would form. So that's 1,000 points as opposed to 300 points. So that's one way that people manage to get high ranks in this game, or at least high scores, is they just let more and more symptoms appear without treating them, and then they treat them after they've sort of stockpiled. I assume there's a max amount of symptoms that can appear on screen just to avoid slowdown and stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, Trauma Center, while its visual style in the operations is relatively simple, I do like that it runs at a stable frame rate. I've never really seen any slowdown in a Trauma Center game. It's maybe the DS ones, but the frame rate's always really steady. The art style's very stylized in these operations. I like it. I'm really glad they decided to shift the art style in Second Opinion, because the character art in Trauma Center Under the Knife was very bland. It wasn't very memorable. It was just sort of your standard, very sharp anime style. While Second Opinion has a much softer art style, which makes it a lot more unique in my opinion. And also, when it comes to the actual operation graphics, it's a lot more stylized. You know, the organs are a lot more shiny. They're not as sort of dull looking. So I feel that it makes a much more striking visual presentation in the operations.
The chart needs to be submitted to the clerks on the 2nd floor, and surgeons are required to attend a case review session every Tuesday morning.
Oh, actually, you're required to do the case review session every Tuesday morning. I should be there, but I'm actually just going to be golfing and drinking coffee made from the cup of dead orphan's teeth. Okay, I'm sure he's not that bad, but it's just like, you've got those slimy types in every single and if you've ever worked anywhere, you know, there's always that slimy guy higher up who's just like, you don't like being near him, you know? And that's who Rousseau is. And I just love having those type of people in fiction, just because I can make fun of them as much as I want.
Operation to upgrade the one currently inside the patient. You'll also be performing the pre-op examination on it.
Now this is another thing that doesn't really make sense to me. Wilkins here is giving us an operation this time. And I don't really get why that happens. I mean, basically it's a pacemaker operation, so that we're just putting a pacemaker in, but it has nothing to do with Wilkins' research. So it's just like, why is he involved? I mean, if Rousseau was talking about this operation with us, that would make sense, but here it's just Wilkins, and, you know, he doesn't really have anything to do with this.
Are you sure it's not gonna hurt?
Oh great! Child acting! Wonderful. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this was just some adult trying to play a child.
What if I wake up? Will it hurt? I promise that won't happen. The medicine will keep you asleep, no matter what.
Valerie, don't talk to kids. You are really, really bad at talking to kids, Valerie. It's just like, up here she's going to say, well, you'll wake up, because she's lying. All you have to do is tell them the truth. Okay, I've got 2 younger brothers, so I kind of know how to talk to kids, at least a little better than Valerie. So what you gotta just tell her the truth and explain it in a way she'll understand. You don't need to make stuff up for them. Kids aren't dumb. That's why Marcus is cool. He's just like, dude, you should get the operation because it'll make you feel better. And she's like, okay, that makes sense. And he's like, cool, let's do some operations. I'm gonna stab you in the chest with this scalpel here. What? Yeah, but that's not gonna, but yeah, it's just like, Valerie, when talking to kids, just keep it simple and explain it to them in ways they understand, but be truthful. Don't bullshit them. Okay, that's just a good way for you to get trapped in a hole.
This operation has nothing to do with the professor's orders.
Yes, it literally has nothing to do with the professor's orders. He shouldn't have anything to do with this.
I'm not lying. It really hurts. Come on, there must be something you can do.
Yeah, man, it really hurts. Like my side area. It's like, ow, man, that hurts. Really, I promise. Can you give me some drugs? Drugs will make it feel better. I promise you. Just give me the drugs and I won't hurt anymore.
Dr. Vaughn, can you please help me explain to this patient?
Oh, hello, Dr. Stereotype. Yeah, seriously, I have no clue why this character's here. I mean, I guess it's supposed to just add character to the Concordia, because, there should be more than, like, 3 doctors there. But, I mean, Dr. Stereotype here doesn't really do anything. And her accent really doesn't help. I mean, making her Asian is one thing, but don't make her have this exaggerated of an accent, because I feel like I'm obligated to make some sort of joke, and I really don't want to, because that would be incredibly uncomfortable for everybody.
Choice but to follow orders.
I suppose that's true. Well, good luck.
Actually, I don't get it. Why is Marcus considered the new guy again? I mean, he just he was transferred to Alaska, sure, but he got transferred back. Shouldn't he still have the same status now that he did then? Whatever. Anyway, why are there boobs on the operation for a 10-year-old? Don't answer that. Anyway, this operation is a pacemaker operation, so pretty much we're just taking out the pacemaker, whoop, dunk, and putting the new pacemaker back in. Dunk, whoop. So, yeah, it's an operation on a child, but really that doesn't impact a whole lot. Actually, it impacts one thing, but that's actually sort of questionable when it comes to actual medical terms. But, yeah, this is a pacemaker operation. It's a relatively unique operation. We don't do a whole lot like this in the game. We do some stuff like this later, but nothing with, like, an actual pacemaker as far as I can remember. I may be wrong. Remember that I always can be wrong. So, yeah, the fact that it's the same model as the professor's is not really... Well, actually, it is kind of important. Remember that the professor has a pacemaker. That's actually somewhat important for later. So anyway, Elena will stop the pacemaker for you. You don't actually input anything here. But as soon as you start the pacemaker, well, this happens. So yeah, don't even bother trying to keep her vitals up at a reasonable level. She's going to be flatlining quite a lot, which makes the vitals always go down to 10, so, yeah, don't bother getting her vitals anywhere above, like, 30. It's just not worth it, and you'll be wasting so much time trying to get her vitals back up to the green, and by then she'll just flatline again. But anyway, this is a new, thing where we've got heart problems, so occasionally her heart will go nuts, and then if you're doing that, you just gotta stop operating at all, because if her heartbeat is fluctuating and you try to do something like add vitals or pick up something, then the patient will take damage and it will count as a miss. So yeah, see what it's doing right there. It's fluctuating. Fibrillating, sorry. Anyway, yeah, so if her heart starts to fibrillate, don't do anything. Just wait until the even if it looks like it's about to start fibrillating, don't do anything. wait for the heart to either go to normal or to flatline, then continue with what you're doing. If the heart does flatline, if you do flatline, what you have to do is you have to press the A and B button as that little outline of the hand reaches with the other outline of the hand coming down. I'll explain a little bit better once I can actually see the diagram, because we do flatline again. You flatline quite a bit in this operation. I find that when the patient's about to flatline, raising their vitals makes it a little bit more likely that they won't, but not terribly likely. Anyway, you see the big outline getting smaller as it reaches to the image of the hand there. You gotta press the A and B buttons at the same time as the outline reaches the image. And if you do that enough times in a row with the right timing, then you'll stop her from flatlining. Anyway, now that we're fibrillating, you know, I can't do anything, but now that for the operation that we had to do was pretty much we had to make an incision on both of those leads, whatever they're called, and then you have to take the leads out of the pacemaker, and then also use the drain to drain up the blood and the antibiotic gel to cut the wounds. In this case, we got to use the ultrasound to find the hole that we cut earlier, and then do the same process in reverse order. We gotta put the lead in and then suture the hole back up. So yeah. And this flatlining here, that's a scripted event. You will never be able to not flatline there. So yeah, heart missions like these are always sort of annoying to me because you constantly have to stop playing and wait for a good 10 seconds whenever you play, and it's just sort of like I don't want to have to stop everything I'm doing every couple of seconds. I mean, I'm sure that that's what it would be like if you were actually in an operation, but this is a game and I'm just sort of here to have fun. So having to stop my progress every couple of seconds for the heart to fibrillate, kind of annoying. But in the end, this isn't a hard mission. It's somewhat hard to get a good ranking on it, though, because really there aren't that many things to do in this operation. You just got to do every single thing you have in this mission you have to do with the cool if you want to get the best rank. I'm sure there's other things you need to do too, like not fibrillate a certain amount of times or stuff like that, but it's one of the easier missions to complete, but one of the harder missions to S rank.
This is the machine we put inside you during the operation. It's helping your heart.
See, Valerie? This is how you do it. You explain in simple terms that don't make the child feel like an idiot. Fucking phones. I will ignore that and pick that up later. So anyway, yeah, God damn it. I'll hang that up. What was I talking about? Yeah, it would be a bad idea to be doing something incredibly stupid and reckless and hyperactive when you just had an operation. But you're a kid, so that'll probably happen anyway. Anyway, next part we finally figure out what Professor Wilkins' weird disease is. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.